All right. Well, Jack, I don't want to be disrespectful for the people that made it here on time. So maybe we'll do, maybe I'll just give a little intro to you guys and then I'll let you guys take it away. How's that sound?
That sounds great. That sounds great, Grayson.
All right. So I gave these guys a little kind of just preview of what we were going to be talking about today. Just a little backstory. Laura had reached out, I guess it was probably now at the beginning of the year, if not last year. And I think it was through a nutritionist near me and just said, hey, I see you work with some awesome dietitians, some awesome nutrition pros, and we have a testing service that we think would be a huge benefit to you guys. And so we wanted to see if there's a way to connect you guys. I pretty much told her straight up, I'm like, look, I am not a dietitian. I'm not a nutrition person. I strictly dabble in the marketing and sales side. So I'm just going to connect you guys. And if they like what they hear, they can choose to use your service. So that's kind of what brought us here today. It's a chance for them to present their testing, what some of the research that they found. I've done the test myself, and I think I sent it out to pretty much everybody. It was pretty cool. The good news is that I'm going to be around for a while. I don't have to bump my life insurance quite yet, but it was a pretty cool process being able to do the test at home and mail it in. And so I think there's a lot of promising opportunities there. So wanted to connect you guys, give Onegevity a chance to present, kind of share what they have, let you guys ask questions to see how, if and how this would be a good fit for your practice and how you can incorporate it to get better outcomes, attract more clients, all that good stuff. So still working with Jack, going to see if we can get you guys some sort of discount bonus, something that we can do to sweeten the deal for you. I'll let you know. I think Jack sent me something, so I apologize if I missed it. And if it works out, hopefully this is going to be a great relationship for you guys moving forward. So that's it. My name's Grayson. If we haven't met yet, I see some new faces hopping on here. So I appreciate you being here today. We'll try to get the recording out when we're done and any other resources that come up today. So I'll shut up now. I'll hand it over to Jack and Laura from Onegevity, and I'll let you guys take it away.
All right. Thanks so much, Grayson. Laura, if you just want to introduce yourself and then hand it over to me, and I'll set up the presentation. We've got about 10 people here, so I think that's good to start.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you, Grayson. That was a great introduction. And congratulations again on your baby. Yeah, so my name's Laura. I am a dietitian as well, so I speak your language, and I'm really happy to meet all you in practice. I have a PhD in sports nutrition, and I originally started on the Thorne side of this Onegevity company, so just a little bit of background information here. Thorne Research, if you're familiar with them, is a dietary supplement company here in the U.S., manufacturing out of Somerville, South Carolina, some executive offices in New York City. But Onegevity is a sister company to Thorne, essentially, and so I was moved over to this side of the company just based on my background with like clinical nutrition. I've worked in hospital systems, I've done one-on-one work with patients and clients, and I now focus a lot more on like the athletic side of our business and companies and stuff too. But GutBio I'm pretty familiar with, and I wanted to come here and talk to you guys about how this would potentially be something that you could use in your practice. And I think that's really it about me.
All right. And my name is Jack Duffy. I'm the Director of Sales at Onegevity. I too worked at Thorne, our sister company, for 10 years. And prior to that, I was in pharmaceutical sales and medical device sales. So I like to feel that I've evolved to functional medicine, integrative medicine, and looking at the patient as a whole. So, I really appreciate everyone's time. What I'm going to do today is just go through a number of slides talking about Onegevity, our gut microbiome test called GutBio. Give you some background, give you some comparisons to what's out there, let you know how you can apply it to practice, and then, would love to have some questions afterwards. I turned off my my camera because I'm going to do a lot of talking with my hands, and you guys don't need to see that. New Yorker go crazy here. So without further ado, I'm just going to jump in. So here, we just want to point out that the GutBio test is the most comprehensive, accurate, insightful. It gives you a nice picture of gut microbiome health. And all of that is based on sort of the foundation that Thorne has built: research, technology, science, and then a term that we hear a lot, machine learning, or AI. And there's a picture of the GutBio test right there. The comparison is usually a Russell Stover's candy box. So complete in that package, you have the tube to provide the sample, as well as return shipping label and instructions. So fairly easy. And I guess I should point out now, it's only one stool sample needed and no dry ice or anything of that nature. So everything is contained within that nice kit. Here are our founders, some really, really smart guys, and we're beneficial to work with them. First, on the left, we have Dr. Joel Dudley. He is a really, really smart guy, and he's spoken throughout the world, an expert in AI, predictive wellness. He's worked with a number of different healthcare companies, insurance companies. He's from Mount Sinai. He's currently living in Colorado. I think one of you guys are in Colorado. And Dr. Joel Dudley actually himself suffers from Crohn's. So part of his life mission was actually, let me diagnose myself. Let me see what I could figure out what's going on with me. And then we have Dr. Chris Mason. If you ever get to see him talk, he is hilarious. Both of them are really, really good speakers. Chris is in New York in Cornell, and he's done a lot of really cool projects. One in particular was the NASA twin study where they compared, they used a similar technology we use on the Kelly twins. Another one, he actually tested the microbiome of the subway system in New York. And there were some interesting things that come through when the subway hits the station, rat dander, if you will. But there was a lot of information that they were able to obtain from that. And him and his Cornell students were all throughout the subway system. And it was accepted with such praise and some detail and analytics that they actually duplicated throughout the subway, or I should say metro system throughout the world. So Chris has got his hands in a number of different things, just really knows his biochemistry, and together they put together with our CEO from Thorne, Onegevity.
I just want to chime in. Joel Dudley on the left, too, was also the scientist whose groundbreaking study brought down the company Theranos, if you're familiar, with the podcast and everything else that happened last year. His lab and his group was like, wait a second, I don't know if that could actually happen, and was featured on CNBC, and obviously it was pretty groundbreaking. So.
Yeah, great point, Laura. I wasn't going to bring it up, but that is definitely cool. He's been quoted in a number of different books. He just said you can't do it. You can't put a lab in a printer cartridge, and that's what they tried to do. So yeah, he's pretty awesome, dude. So here I'm going to try to move the camera a little bit. There we go. Okay, just kind of take you step by step. Convenient testing. So you'll do it at your home from step one. Like I said, one single sample. You have the data integration in the analytics that comes together. So trillions of data points, all based on PubMed articles, all using that machine learning, as well as the analysis of the stool sample and a detailed survey, personalized survey. That activates the test. And from there, in 4 weeks, you'll receive the actionable individual insights. So you'll receive the report as well as diet recommendations, exercise recommendations, and supplement recommendations that will provide that personalized intervention. So a couple of reasons why. Well, most advanced technology on the market. So we use the metagenomic sequencing. We'll get into that in a little bit. It used to be just research grade. Now it's available to the public. The personalized reports and actual recommendations. Reports are great. I could give you a binder full of information, but if you really don't know how to digest it, it's hard to move forward. And then, of course, revenue for your practice. There's different ways to make revenues per kit, or even on the supplement, the ongoing monthly or weekly supplement sales for your practice. So here is a table that compares the different microbiome sequencing available from PCR, 16S, metatranscriptomics, and what Onegevity uses, metagenomics, or sometimes referred to as shotgun sequencing. Some is quick, some takes a while, some is new, some is old. And I'd like to turn it over to Laura now to kind of go into a little more detail on some of the technology available out there.
Yeah, so I would say this is probably the spot as a dietitian that I would look for first in terms of microbiome testing technology, in comparing other products on the market. So there's a time and place for each one of these sequences. We're not specifically saying that like ours is the best and should be the only time, the only option used, but there is a time and place, right? So Pcr sequencing is often the type of sequencing that you would do on a microbiome sample. Say if you were on a cruise ship and all of a sudden you suspect things like the norovirus breaks out, right? It's one of those issues when a whole bunch of people get GI distress because of not hand washing. The test is awesome because you know exactly what you're looking for. You would do a PCR sample testing for norovirus itself. You would have the results back in anywhere from a few hours to a few days. And it's a great technology for something when you know exactly what you're looking for. 16S is probably the most commonly researched sequencing technology on the market because it's been around since the 70s. And it does an okay job. It's honestly where we've had a lot of hallmark studies looking at the microbiome, and it's really what has moved the microbiome into the public eye. But again, it's a little bit less comprehensive. It only can look at a number of known bacteria and fungi and parasites, and it kind of gives a surface level overview. It does take a little bit longer than PCR, but it is a little bit faster than metatranscriptomics or metagenomics. Metatranscriptomics is looking at the RNA of what's in a sample. So different than the DNA, the RNA is often what's like active in a sample. And so it really is only looking at what is alive and moving and active. It isn't a stable material, which is the reason why when ours looks at DNA, we don't have to have this on dry ice or other situations. And being an unstable material too, if you have a sample that ever sits around for a couple of days or a couple of weeks, it's not going to have the same viability as the sample would be if it was like a fresher or sample that was kept at a different temperature. Metatranscriptomics can be very comprehensive, but it does, again, only look at the RNA, so it does take a decent amount of time to sequence, usually 4 to 6 weeks or so. Metagenomics is what Onegevity uses, so we're looking at the DNA of everything in the sample. So the differences between the RNA and the DNA here is really looking at things that aren't active as well. So you could have a bunch of bacteria or fungi or viruses that are present in the sample but not specifically active. And that's honestly where a lot of our AI and recommendations come from, is stuff that may be present but at low volumes and or not specifically doing something. So it's nice to know if you have some of the good bacteria available, like that's an actionable recommendation to be like, okay, we need to now feed these good bacteria so that they can thrive and become active in a sample. And again, the metagenomics is a very, very comprehensive sequencing process, and it takes a long time, specifically because there's a lot of QA and QC checks, and then there's also a little bit of manual processing that has to go through with the AI. So it is about a sample that would take around 4 weeks' time.
Well, that was awesome, Laura. I appreciate that. During this time, a couple other people joined us, so welcome. And I'm just going to pause now. Are there any questions? Keep going. Let's just keep going. I think a picture is also helpful. Laura, if you want, I'll just point out that 16S, like Laura said, there was a lot of information and research done with it, but it's a little, it's quick and inexpensive. Sometimes you get what you pay for. And here's a nice picture, Laura, if you want to jump in on this and just explain this to the folks.
Yeah, and I probably won't go through this because we can send you guys these slides afterwards too. But the other thing I point out about like the differences between some of these technologies, and it's a great example to use, right? So it's like looking at this 16S technology is kind of like looking at a TV from like the 70s or the 80s, right? It's that big boxy TV with like really low resolution. And when you look at like a video or a movie that was made back then, you're like, wow, like look at how terrible quality this is. Looking at metagenomic sequencing nowadays is like looking at 4K TV. It's just a very clear picture. You get really high resolution. You can see all of the detail. And that's kind of the way that you should think about this. And I'm not saying that 16S is bad. Like there is a time and place for it. It's usually less expensive. It's just because technology has advanced.
Awesome. Yep, definitely. We'll send you the slides. Grayson, I could send it to you as well. All right. Grayson shared with me that some of the RDs and nutritionists here are familiar with GI map. So I just wanted to give a little side-by-side comparison of the GutBio versus GI map. So the whole genome sequencing is the technology we use. They use a mixture of 16S, PCR, and virulence factors. With the GutBio test, we detect every microorganism within the sample, bacteria, archaea, fungi, pathogens, where GI map is looking for positive pathogen results. I love the example that Laura used. You're on a cruise ship, you don't feel very good. Let's figure out what's working, what's not working. So we assess the microbes associated with dysbiosis, constipation, diarrhea, and inflammation. I think as RDs and nutritionists, you probably work with some patients just like that. GI map is more specific. It's a diagnosis. It's really focus on that. Diagnosis using a calprotectin for IBD. Let's also see if there's blood in the stool to help with diagnosis. The GutBio test will also, from the survey and analysis, will provide dietary and supplement recommendations to improve your gut health, personal for you. GI map will have a rapid turnaround to make sure there's no fear of the pathogenic infection. And again, just to hammer that home, we're not diagnostic, but we're easy to read and understand from the consumer and the practitioner, whereas GI map is designed to be used by a practitioner. It's quick, it's diagnostic, and it's looking for particular pathogens. Laura, is there anything you want to add on this?
No, and I think really the moral of the story is that there is a time and place for both. And I think like where I would use GI map with patients would be exactly that, like somebody who has some sort of acute issue that's going on that just started, whereas what I use GutBio with are patients who have really tried everything and can't figure out what's actually going on. It's something that they've probably had their whole life or that they've been dealing with for the last 6 months or 12 months. And it really gets to more of some of the deep underlying conditions too, like why this person's unable to lose weight, why they're having issues with hormone levels, why they're all of a sudden getting acne or, GI upset. More of these like long-term problems that are a lot more systemic rather than likely a factor of a pathogen.
Great. So here is a quick peek, a little snapshot. I'll go deeper into it later, but it shows.
Hey Jack, let me pause you just for a second there, because I know that was like a big question for a lot of people. So if there's, and we can do questions at the end too, but I just want to see if there was anything that came up for people on this GutBio versus GI map slide.
Sure.
Nothing yet. All right, I appreciate it. Thanks for letting me interrupt, Jack.
Yeah, anytime. I have 3 kids. They're always interrupting me, so it's all good. I
like
feel like I'm at home here. All right, so this is kind of what you take the test for. You want the report. So we break it down in different sections. Keystone taxa, inflammation's a big one. Different symptoms that you might see. A community breakdown, short-chain fatty acids, micronutrients. So it's broken down. There's different color codings. It shows, diversity score. So really, really good to interpret from both the patient's perspective as well as the healthcare practitioner.
I think I'm going to hop in here too. So I know that Grayson said that he sent around his report with everybody. So you might be familiar with some of these sections here. We actually are doing a big revamp to the report right now. And we offer complimentary, like free upgrades to all of our testing. So as the science progresses, as we do, changes in our report, as we get thousands and thousands of more samples to be able to provide even more precise percentiles for people and ranking them to, healthy comparisons and stuff. We offer these updates for free for everybody. We are switching around a little bit of this. So if you guys do tests, if you do tests with patients, you will notice some different changes, but we've actually been consulting with some of the highest, most prominent GI gastroenterologists in the country and functional medicine doctors to really key in on like the sections of the report that they use with their patients. And so we'll just be highlighting things a little bit different, but you can find all of this same information in there still. It might just look a little different.
Yeah, great point. Yeah, so the version you're looking at now is 1.6 and 2.0 will be coming. And again, we work with some really great key opinion leaders in digestive health as well as microbiome testing, but also receive feedback from healthcare practitioners that used our test as well as other tests. And they said, hey, I'd like to see this, or I'd like to see this displayed a little differently. So yes, we're always evolving. I think the machine learning makes us all smarter, and every patient will get continuous lifetime upgrades. Wait, I think I see a question.
Yeah, I was just wondering if since you do free upgrades, does that mean you store all client data somewhere?
Laura.
Yeah, we have a HIPAA compliant cloud with data. And so, yes, we do store it essentially, but we're constantly looking at like the de-identified in terms of like pooling and aggregating. So I'm sure Jack is going to get to it at one point in here, but one of the coolest parts of our test is that we actually offer a complete download of every microorganism that you see in a sample, which is different than other companies. And so you can drill down. I mean, it's all categorized from the genus and the family and the class and all the way down to the species and the strain level. And so there's your amount and then also other comparison percentiles. So that comparison percentile is obviously always changing. Every test that we get, it's going up and down, up, down. So we do tend to do these upgrades. Like it's usually around every 6 to 9 months or so. This year it's been a little bit weird with the coronavirus going on and the testing and stuff. But yeah, we do technically store it, but it isn't specifically identified. You're linked via like the activation number on your kit, and that's about it.
I think, and Laura, correct me if I'm wrong, we can say that we have the largest collection of metagenomic information on IBS sufferers. Is that correct?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Any other questions while we're here?
Yeah, so as you're tracking and upgrading based on, it sounds like the averages of what you're finding, sorry about that, does that mean you can see a trend in how people's microbiomes are, like, as a whole changing over time in terms of like decreased diversity?
Yeah, I mean, and I would like to say that with each person, obviously the numbers change, but I think it takes a large population and also larger populations of people that we're doing tests with to really move the needle. When you think about it, like we do have the largest platform of IBS sufferers, but I mean, we are doing a relatively large and comprehensive study right now with HIV patients. And so we're doing stuff with microbiome and whatnot, and how they're reacting to some of the antiviral medications. And so ultimately, like, they will be a subset of our platform. Like, we wouldn't put unhealthy data into healthy data to change the numbers. So it's like, I want to say yes to your question, but there's also caveats to respond no as well.
I also want to add that we have seen some trends that is driving us towards particular products to recommend, most importantly, prebiotics. So we've seen that as well as a particular trend, and you know, kind of focusing some of our recommendations on that as well. Thanks for the questions. Appreciate that. Okay, this is kind of what the GutBio report will look like online. So you'd have the table of contents on the side, and of course you'd be able to print it. You can see the results here broken down into the different categories, and the recommendations here. You'd be able to print or save in PDF and add to the patient report. Here's a snapshot of the diet recommendations and some pretty cool recipes. And here is some supplement recommendations. So pictured here are, on the right-hand side, are some prebiotics, as I mentioned, Fibermin and Aramidex. And right here in the center is the Interomin product, which is a mixture of natural anti-inflammatories, a little bit of glutamine, a little bit of organic aloe, and a little bit of guar gum for butyrate levels. Anyone familiar with the Thorne products? Actually tastes pretty good too. All right, let's see a hand go up there.
Question two.
Oh, question? All right, yes.
Do you only recommend Thorne products, or are there other products you recommend as part of this?
Oh my gosh, I want to take you with me. So some of the feedback is there's other supplement manufacturers out there besides Thorne. And of course we do know that, right? There are also a lot of practitioners that are comfortable with ITI, Metagenics, orthomolecular. So in the 2.0 version, we're actually going to go out of our way to recommend based on ingredients. So if there's a particular prebiotic that does not fit within the Thorne portfolio, like inulin, we would recommend that because that would be best for the patient. In addition, we enable the practitioner, as they recommend it to the patient, to get a window of 7 days to view the report prior to the patient. There, you can actually look at a report and say, you know what, they recommended Thorne's Interomin, but I know my patient better, and he or she doesn't really like powders or doesn't like sweetened by stevia. So I'm going to get ahead of this curve and say, you know, they recommend this, but I want you to do capsules of glutamine and, you know, rice bran. Great question, and appreciate that. Laura, do you have anything to add on that?
No, that was perfect. Yeah, great question.
I have a question with regards to the report. As a practitioner, are we going to get the report and then like choose what to share with the patient, or the patient is going to be able to get the entire report?
They will be able to get the entire report after you view it. Also through the portal, you'll be able to send a message. You could say something like, say, I'm your patient. Hey, Jack, I got your report. I'm reviewing it now. Let's schedule your follow-up on Tuesday, all right? And you could do that via online. You could look at it at the same time. Or you could even say something so specific, hey, Jack, they recommended a ketogenic diet for you. I know you're not going to stick to that. Let's do that maybe for a week, and then let's focus on something else.
Okay, but as far as, let's say, what I'm looking at right now where it has like the enteromend, would we be able to swap that out if need be, or that would still be in the report, even though we're not going to recommend it?
That will still be in the report.
Oh, okay.
You don't like that?
You know what it is? I feel that it could undermine the practitioner. Do you know what I'm saying? In a way where, obviously, the recommendations, have to be tailored to the patients or specific patient populations, like I have with mast cell disease and, lots of intolerances to certain fillers and things. So I would foresee myself having to, probably change things out. But then, like, you feel like this report is going to, say one thing, I'm going to say another thing.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I'm so comfortable with that.
Yeah, and I agree with you, and I've heard it from other practitioners. But I will say, as smart as the AI and machine learning and the analysis that we do, no one knows a patient better than the practitioner that works with them. Nobody knows the history. No one knows their life stressors. No one knows, what they've done and what they haven't done, what they're able to do, what they failed on. So that's where I would really drive home that patients that do best with this are the hand-holding of the practitioner. And I do understand, if it's
right. So it'd be nice, I guess my recommendation would be, it would be great if the practitioner could get the report, and then if we could, sort of choose what we share with the patient.
Yep, I'm writing off Cleve, the recommendations. Got it.
Thank you. Thank you.
We've heard that, right, Laura?
Yeah, for sure. And the other part of it too is, like, you probably have really great rapport and communication with your patients. There are a decent amount of practitioners that we work with that are a little bit like more hands off and do this kind of stuff just online and do like little messaging and stuff. So we do see totally both sides of that spectrum, and including, like, sometimes we see people saying like, oh, you're only recommending to do enteromend per like the ingredients, like, or the recommendations on the label. Like, I would actually do it 3 times a day, or something like that. So it's we see literally full sides of the spectrum. But I agree with you. I mean, I think that it would be also, as a dietitian, like, knowing that like your patient isn't going to do something is full on, where you're not replaceable by any means in this process.
Thanks. Wonderful question. Great discussion. So now I'm just going to go into our proof of concept. We had a pre-launch study, and we actually published the clinical trial this past April. So the patients received personalized supplements based on recommendations, and then there was a 30-day follow-up. So now I'm just going to go quickly into, I can't see. Okay, good. So this was printed in, or published, I should say, in April of 2020. I don't even know if they print this in Precision Clinical Medical. And I'm just going to read through the points here. So it was a clinical trial that was done in the fall of 2018. It was our proof of concept. So in just 30 days, individuals with IBS that used the GutBio test and their recommendations experienced better gut health and significantly reduced symptoms in gas, bloating, constipation, and diarrhea. The comparison, or the results of GutBio 1 and GutBio 2, the retest, showed that individuals with IBS had a dramatically improved gut microbiome composition with increased beneficial bacteria and decreased non-beneficial bacteria, good bugs and bad bugs, if you will. Also, after the intervention, individuals with IBS-C constipation showed decreased constipation and bloating. Individuals with IBS-D showed decreased diarrhea, bloating, and gas, and individuals with IBS mix showed improvements across all symptoms. So the total symptom score was significantly improved in all IBS types. And I provided the link there at the bottom. As I share these deck with you, you'll be able to dive a little deeper. But it really showed that, through analysis and diet, and you guys probably know this, through analysis and diet changes, and hey, particular supplements, it works, and it works quickly. So we were pretty psyched to be able to publish this this past April.
Do you have any data beyond 30 days showing an improvement in gut microbiome composition?
We don't. We capped it at 30 days.
Yeah, we didn't follow them for more than 30 days, but we actually did do some of the symptom stuff at day 15, and there were significant increases or, significant improvements in symptoms at day 15. We did not do a test at day 15 though. So within 2 weeks of people following their recommendations, they subjectively said they felt better. So it was a pretty quick turnaround in terms of at least some of that subjective feeling.
Yeah, I think like more longer term data would be really helpful, like looking out 6 months, a year.
Yeah, for sure. And some of the hardest part of it is obviously tracking people's diets and making sure that they are doing what they're recommended, and obviously then supplementation too. But we have a lot of longitudinal stuff going on right now, actually with breast cancer survivors and stuff too. So we will have some more longitudinal data to support, but this trial unfortunately stopped after 30.
Okay, I am going to stop sharing for a second, and then I'm going to show you on our demo account at onegevity.com how you could use the platform. So talk amongst yourself, if you will, and ask away any questions. Or you're all muted, so you look great. Okay, where's Safari?
I have a question for all of you. Do you currently use microbiome testing, and like how often, or like do you pick and choose what patients to use it with? Like if any of you want to share your experience, I'd love to hear.
Yes, with every client.
Awesome. All right.
I've used personally Day 2. I'm sure you're familiar with that.
Yep.
I use Genova, but it's, pick and choose which clients.
I use GI Map currently, and I'd say probably with like 95% of my clients I'm using it.
I don't really use any diagnostic testing, but I usually will, have the information from their GI doc, whether it's a SIBO test or, other.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure Jack will mention this too, but I can also fill the gap here. But we have a lot of really great informative webinars for like specific groups of people that you might deal with, including like the gut microbiome for IBD patients, the gut microbiome for IBS patients, the gut microbiome for brain health. We just did one on SIBO, and so that was kind of what reminded me, but that will be posted soon. And so like specifically looking at like what you can glean from the gut microbiome with these conditions, and people have found them to be really useful. They're really, really informative, and we're constantly doing more for different like populations and subtypes and stuff. But I think we have one coming out on Alzheimer's. I think we have a few others, but yeah, it's great to hear that you guys are all doing it. I mean, I think the more information you have, the more information you can work with, and the better you can tailor what programs you're going to do with your patients and clients. So it's really great to hear.
Yeah, great. Yeah, that SIBO presentation was enlightening. I was fortunate to hear that, and just talked about how although it might be in the small intestine, everything travels up and down the GI tract, and to have the full roadmap in a gut microbiome test is beneficial to treating SIBO. So I look forward to that being posted. We definitely had to make sure that everything we said was Deshay friendly, if you will, if you're familiar with that term. Well, here I am. Hopefully you guys can see. Can we all see my screen? Hopefully I'm sharing. Good. So I'm just going to onegevity.com, and I'm signing in as RD demo, if you will. Oh, wow. Let me try that again. Okay, hold on one second. Where is that? Hold on a sec. Okay. In. Love technology, guys. Love it.
Jack, sales demo at thorn.com.
Yeah, it's not accepting it. Hold on a second. I'm gonna close this.
It works on mine if you want me to screen share.
Yeah. All right. Let me try it one more time. Okay, I'm in. All right, sorry about that, folks. Okay. All right. Thank you for, okay, so here is where your account page would be. So you could upload a photo, give your information here. So we got a female, born in 1970. So you could put all your information there. You can see from products learn. Here is where you have the availability to use the technology to add patients and invite them to take a test. As you can see, I've used a lot of my family members and friends and even Laura. So very simple, you click a new patient, email address, first name, last name, and then you click add patient. Very, very simple, and they will receive an invite, and I'll show you that in a slide soon. You could also import patients. If you had say a list of 100 IBS sufferers that you've worked with over the years, you could upload a .csv file and import the patients that way to have them within your folder. Results would come in here. And I know we had some stills of the GutBio report. You click over review here. And now you can see how the GutBio exists on the web. So here's a quick overview. Here's a section on inflammation, the bad bacteria that are high and contributing to a higher risk score. It lists them, and it also gives you a scale, if you will. Some different symptoms from constipation, diarrhea. Gut diversity. This is a new addition, immune readiness. I think I'm definitely preaching to the choir, but we have, the first line of defense is in your gut. 70% of your immune fighting cells reside in your gut. So what is your immune readiness score? This is your micronutrients. Do you have the bacteria, the certain gut bacteria that will manufacture different B vitamins? Short chain fatty acids, again, showing the importance of prebiotics. We're not going to leave out probiotics. We'll give you a nice long list and tell you about them. We'll also focus on pathogens. I think it's important to notice that since we go down to the DNA strain level, you'll see C. diff there. And just know that it came back negative, so you don't have to do anything. A lot of people will have it in their body and, it won't affect them. We got the phyla breakdown, keystone taxa, and the community breakdown. Here is where you could dive deeper into the community profile and look at a nice Excel sheet of all different particular pathogens or parasites you might be looking at. What's also good to know is we're always learning. So there's some new, novel, unknown bacteria or microorganisms out there. We'll continue to learn. If anyone's saying they know them all, they're not looking at the full picture. Then I'll move down into the personalized recommendations with diet, supplement. Again, they could add to cart here, and exercise. The appendix will give you a little deeper dive, especially into our immune readiness score and how we configured that. Then the ability to print, you can print it out or save it in a PDF. One thing I did want to show is ever so easy to learn about GutBio now. And Laura, we have a code. I know it's in there. Is it, let's hope through the magic of it. So this is the code that nutritionists near me, $50 off and good. All right, it's active now. So this is the code that I'll share with you guys. I'll make sure you know it again. So that's NNME 50, and that removes $50 cost for you guys. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing. I'll go back to the PowerPoint, and we're almost done, everybody. So how am I going to implement this in my practice? So I showed you this live. I think it's better than, so you could go into your account, how to add your patients. You do it by individual emails or loading the Excel file. They will receive this. You're invited. So if anyone's familiar with Dr. Bob Roundtree, he invited me to be one of his patients. We're talking a lot about telehealth, and I'm sure a number of you are on Zoom calls or Skype calls or FaceTime. This works out really, really well. with the social distancing that we have to do, or the virtual practice that a lot of people do have. So a quick patient journey. They'll do the at-home collection. So they could pay for it online. It will get shipped to their house. They'll do the survey there. They'll provide the sample, and they'll activate it. The prepaid shipping is provided. They could drop it into the mailbox. It will go to the lab, and the results will come to you first. And everything, again, is done online. Here's a little time frame. So you have the patient consult, activate and collect. During this waiting period, you could do some diet modifications, some lifestyle modifications, keep in touch with them. Say, hey, let's eliminate caffeine, see how you feel. Or let's eliminate dairy, see how you feel. And then at week 4, when you receive the 6 gigabits of personalized data, now you really have the full picture. Let's focus. Let's give precise medicine and how we're going to help your dysbiosis. As I mentioned and showed that it's active, I'm very happy. I do apologize about the technology before, but I'm pretty psyched. There is a $50 off coupon code. And you can see it's very easy to just check it in at checkout. Use that promo code, nutritionist near me 50, $50 off. Okay, and we have support for your business. I don't know if Laura, so you'd always contact me. There's my website. We did mention the retroactive updates. We have tons of webinar. We're going to have tons of programs. I'd like to do more of this if you guys like this. We can help you with telemedicine tools, even supplement recommendations that might not be there. Also, help reading the report, right? We have Laura, we have RDs, we have nutritionists, we have chiropractors, we have doctors. We have a full team in our medical education team at Onegevity. So the report comes in, you need some assistance looking it over, or how am I going to translate this to my patient? I'd be more than happy to help you guys. And then this is just a funny little thing. As I suspected, you're full of bacteria. We're going to have to throw you away. There's always end with SpongeBob, right? So I am done sharing, and I am going to let you know I'm still here. At my parents' house, by the way, those are the curtains, so I just wanted to let you guys know that. So I really want to open up to any questions. You guys really gave some good feedback and some questions. You shared some tests that you have. As I shared already, we will share the some different handouts that we have, as well as the slides from this deck, and make sure you guys all get them. Grayson, is it best to send to you, or should I collect emails?
Either way, you're welcome to send it to me, and I can disperse it to everybody here. Yeah, that works for me.
Okay, I'll do that.
I've got a question. One of the things that I do with my clients is I offer kind of like an all-inclusive program model. And so most of anything extra that I add on with that package, like I don't charge the client extra for. So like, is there a way that I could pay for the test on behalf of the client and include that in as part of, their package of working with me?
Yeah, and you certainly can do that. And there's I guess tier discounts depending on how many you do buy. So you could do that. A lot of people do put it into a wellness package, a digestive package, and they'll incorporate that into a front consult, a back consult, and maybe a number of different supplements, or maybe even a meal plan that you would put together. So we've seen that before, and we could definitely work that with you. And what's your name? Dina.
Dina, yeah.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Are you also trying to integrate with, some of our platforms? Like I know a lot of us use Practice Better.
Man, I'd love to. I know we're working. Laura, do you know more about? I know we're trying to integrate with Charm. With the PDF file, you can add it to a number of different things. The data integration, the handoff, the API. There's so many different platforms out there, if you will. We don't have a particular one that we chose from Epic or Charm. I know that, hold on, my mom just walked in. Hey Mom, I'm on a presentation. Oh, it's Dad? All right, my dad had to get some PT on his knee. So yeah, we're looking at Charm integration, but we don't have anyone particular. Some of the practitioners have used the PDF to add, but full integration is not there yet. hopefully in the future. Dina, I have one question for you, just to follow up. Where are you out of?
I'm in Miami.
You're in Miami. Okay, yeah. So you can.
I've got another question. So when people are clicking through their report and they see the supplement recommendations and there's that option to add it to their cart, do we get a percentage of that sale? Like, is there a revenue split there?
Yes, there is.
And
so
what is that? Like, would it be, because right now I use FullScript, which is really nice, especially if, you know, I may opt to switch up and do different supplements than what's recommended there, but I'm just curious what the difference is.
So the difference between wholesale and retail, so say the price listed in Terramin, say is $20 and the wholesale is $10, you would receive $10 in revenue. I know the guys from FullScript, phenomenal guys. I was there when they started. With this platform, there's no ability to discount the products. And I know with FullScript, there's a lot better user experience in putting supplements together. So what you can do is you could use both, if you will. If you're comfortable using FullScript, then I encourage you to do so. And, you know, a lot of people will say the same thing with Wellevate or even our Thorn.com products. So it's really up to you. But yes, whatever they click and add to cart, you would get the difference between wholesale and retail.
And let me add to that. So it's on every product, and it's also for the lifetime of your patients. They buy every month. You get that every single month. So the person is connected to you.
Gotcha.
Yeah, one thing I do want to add, I know you're in Miami. I think with COVID, and maybe you guys could correct me if I'm wrong, they've kind of opened up the borders regarding telehealth. So you're in Miami, but you could work with someone in Oregon. They're not going to be driving to your office or anything like that. But if they like your program or they do well with the enterrament, as they do those orders, you would still get that revenue coming in. So there's the ability to kind of cast a large net.
What I'm not sure what exactly you're referring to. You mean like we're allowed to practice across state lines, or?
Yeah.
Like that's something new. I haven't heard that. Sorry, I've not stayed up on it, I guess.
Yeah, I haven't heard that as well.
Oh yeah, it used to not be able to go and practice in New York if you were based in Florida. Now they've opened it up.
With relation to dietitians or just physicians? I don't know.
You know what? Don't quote me on that. Let me find out. Find out. I will have to check on that. I thought it was able for everyone.
I've heard that platforms are available now that weren't available before because of HIPAA compliance. I'm sorry, I have a mask on.
No, I love seeing your mask. I'm here in New York. I love seeing it.
I've heard, so now people can use like, Facebook as a platform and Skype and things that aren't HIPAA compliant. There's a waiver on that, but I hadn't heard anything about going across state lines yet.
Okay, let me double check on that then. I don't want to speak out of turn.
Jack and Laura, I have a question about the actual test. I haven't gotten a chance to look at any results yet, and I'm really loving that they're short chain fatty acids results. I'm wondering, do you also look at page 5 from the GI map test at the GI health indicators, including secretory IgA, calprotectin, steatocrit? Because I find those really helpful and was wondering if your test offers them.
Laura, do you want to handle this? I could give my canned response, but I think you would do better.
I think the short answer right now is no, we don't specifically call out calprotectin or I don't even know, secretory IgA. But we are changing it so that some of these measures are like into different scores. GI map was actually, the Genova test was actually designed by Dr. Patrick Hanaway, and he's actually helped redesign this GutBio. So I think you will see a lot of similarities of the new version of GutBio to some of the stuff that Genova does, but different because different technology too.
Yeah, and one thing I would add, the calprotectin is great. It is a diagnosis, and we have to sort of remove ourselves from that diagnosis as it's more of a wellness platform. So calprotectin, as Laura said, would almost be contained in our inflammation score, and the secretory IgA would be more in line with our immune readiness score. But we don't have it, so to be frank. Great question. Hear it all the time.
I work primarily with weight loss clients, and I do nutrigenetic testing. And way back when I was looking at the gut microbiome stuff, I looked into day 2, and I have a sample, well, I had my own gut microbiome tested through them. How would you describe, or how would you compare your results to something that day 2 would do in helping with somebody that's on a weight loss journey?
Well, day 2 uses the same technology as us, right? They use the metagenomic check and sequencing, but they're really focused on the diabetic patient, right? The insulin sensitivity. So it's fairly niche there. Laura, do you want to maybe talk about how our product and our analysis is beneficial in maybe hormone management, weight loss management?
Yeah, exactly. And so Jeff mentioned, obviously, like it's very specific for the diabetic or the insulin resistant patient. But I think what we tend to focus on in our report is the dysbiosis. And so it's always about the balance of the bacteria, not specifically just about how the bacteria is affecting blood sugar and metabolism. We are drilling down into a lot of the other stuff that happens, including like the gut-lung axis, the gut-brain axis, immune system, and a lot of other what would maybe be considered ancillary within weight loss, but it's definitely very direct in terms of how it would be impacting people's metabolism and digestion ultimately. So I think like different would be my answer. And I wouldn't necessarily discount ours in terms of weight loss. We do have a lot of people who, once they fix their gut, they're like, wow, I used to never be able to eat these foods before, or I used to have food allergies, or I used to have, different things that it is a lot often related to dysbiosis. So it is looking a little bit more at like the root of the problem rather than specifically one system of how it's affecting it.
Even appetite management.
Yeah.
How hungry you feel.
More recently, I've actually had people tell me about pain management, and I was like, okay, like that's an interesting way to start thinking about how like we're fixing guts to like work towards totally other, other systems, obviously, and they're all connected, not surprisingly.
I'd love to hear more about the pain management.
I don't know if I'm the best person to speak about that. Somebody was telling me how they were doing it, but I obviously, there is a lot going on there. I think that's on our list of webinars, so there might be something out soon. Our science team is like putting together all the information on it, but I'm not surprised, and I don't think I could be speaking on it right now.
Yeah, I know there is some correlation gut-brain access with pain. I know that Dr. Bob Roundtree is looking into it, but yeah, stay tuned for that. I think that would be very helpful. And it's also like what is pain to one person is another. Like it could be abdominal pain. Why do you have abdominal pain?
Yeah, I work with chronic pain conditions, so that would definitely be of interest. A lot of them obviously have overlapping GI issues, but the pain is my primary. So I'd love to hear about it.
Okay. Man, we hit the hour on the button, Grayson. You got a great crew here, and I look forward to connecting. Are there any questions while we're here? Please don't be shy, and we could go over. This is not the free Zoom. This is the pay Zoom, so it's not going to crash on us.
Yeah. Any other questions? I feel like Jack, Laura, you guys did a great job. Answered a lot of my questions that I had, and I think the questions that were asked were spot on. And I think you guys are doing a good job of supporting the practitioner. That was one of my concerns. Is it seems like a lot of the direct-to-consumer testing is a way to kind of cut out the middleman, cut out the practitioner, and I don't see that being the most successful route for the patient. So I just like what you're doing with taking the practitioner into account to support them and make sure that they're not, or that your company isn't trying to cut out the practitioner as part of the piece. I think that was really important to everybody. So I appreciate what you guys are doing to include them. Any other questions? I really want to make sure that this was a chance that if you're using any sort of testing currently that, if this sounded promising, I want to make sure you got all your questions answered. So don't hesitate.
And you could always follow up. Sometimes the minute I leave a meeting, I have 1,000 questions that pop into my head. You could always follow up. I'll make sure that Grayson shares my contact information with you guys, and make sure you have all the discount codes and whatever we can provide for you to be comfortable using our product, and of course recommended it to your patients to provide them relief and answers. And that's why they come to you. They've been to, conventional medicine doctors before, and they're coming to you for answers. So I appreciate you guys. It's really nice to interact with people that know their craft and hear them passionate about what they do. So it was my pleasure to present to you guys.
Awesome. Really appreciate you guys' time today. This is great. So anything else before we start to wrap? No?
Nope.
Yeah,
I will stop the recording and I'll make sure you get that cloud recording so we could hear that again.
Fantastic.